Hello, it's Viking One, and I'm on Rock Island, on the Rock Island Arsenal in Illinois, just across the Mississippi from Fort Davenport, Iowa. And behind me is Fort Armstrong. And I'm going to walk around, show you some of the sights. This was an old fort. This is the site of Fort Armstrong. It was built in 1816 and abandoned 1836. You can see some of the cannonballs. And right where that clock tower is, that's the Rock Island Arsenal, still owned and operated by the U.S. Army. And here are some of the names of the community who contributed funds for the erection of the blockhouse. And there's some old Charles Atkinson, 1836. Amos F. Cutter, 1844. 1858. W.R. Ziegler, 1850. And here's part of the fort. I guess this is where the soldiers they'd be in this part of the fort and shoot their rifles outside of these slots here. That looks like it's big enough for a cannon, but they can point their rifles outside of these openings here and fight, I guess, Indians, Native Americans. This was before the Civil War. Over that way is the Mississippi. Here's some of the cannons that were here. I'm standing on an embankment, and also over that way is the Mississippi. And this is Rock Island, but there's the railroad tracks, and beyond that embankment is where the Rock Island Arsenal is. But here's an old style fort. I guess that's what they call a blockhouse. I would have to research that. But it looks like you had two levels, the lower level and the upper level. And there's all kinds of those small openings to point a rifle and to shoot. And it looks like they had room for bigger, possibly cannons in there. Although that would be quite a task to hoist those cannons on the second floor, and you would have to be able to support them. But the openings are bigger. Here's a view from behind the cannon. One of the cannons here. And there's the other cannon. It's a pretty area now. Very well kept, good landscaping. Straight ahead of me is a habitat for bald eagles. And in the distance, I could see one in his nest. I mean, it's going to be, I'll try to zoom in. There he goes, there's one flying, but he's hard to see. So let me try to zoom in the best that I can. So somewhere in those trees, high up top, is where the eagles have their nests. And they're here year-round, but according to this sign, it says they're mostly here. There's more of them here in December, January, and February. So if I had a better camera that could focus in on that area, I might be able to get some eagles. But anyways, that's where they nest, and that's where they live most, but they're here more often in the winter. Next, I'm going to show you Locks and Dam 15 and the government bridge. Part of it is able to rotate, so steamboats and barges and ships that transport goods and important materials, that part of the bridge will rotate, so like I say, the boats can go through there more easily. So Locks and Dam 15 is that way, and I'm gonna walk there shortly. All right, straight ahead of me is Locks and Dam number 15, and that's where the boats would travel through. They'd raise the water up when necessary and open that gate. They bring barges through, river boats, all kinds of boats. But back in the day, this was very important for trade and travel and the economy. All right, next I'm going to show you the government bridge, a bridge that was made out of steel. It's a double-decker bridge. Let me pause and walk over there. The Rock Island Government Bridge was completed in 1896, and it's still standing today. Here's a memorial. This looks like part of the old fence, possibly cast iron. And straight ahead of me is still part of Locks and Dam number 15. And there's the government bridge. Like I say, it's a very big structure made out of steel girders. On the lower level is for cars. In the upper level, you have two sets of tracks for the railroad and railroad cars and locomotives. According to this plaque, this bridge was built by the U.S. Army Ordnance Department, 1895-1896. Colonel A.F.A.R. Buffington, commander of Rock Island Arsenal, and Ralph Modjeski was the chief engineer. And you can see how big these steel girders are. These supports that are made out of solid steel. Very thick, very big. And it looks like here comes a barge that has a crane on it. I'm going to see if it's going to pass through the Locks and Dam 15. But as I take this shot looking down the roadway of the bridge, it's fairly long, and it spans across the Mississippi River, and going in that direction will take you into Davenport, Iowa. Okay, as I walk underneath the bridge down these steps, I'm going to show you the massive supports on this bridge, and even some of these rocks put into place, sandstone, limestone. Just big rocks cut out, placed in there to support this heavy bridge. Okay, I'm underneath the government bridge, and you can see just some of the massive steel and the rocks and the cutout rock underneath that massive steel to support this bridge that is very heavy. Wow, that is big. And that's the apparatus ahead of me. It's hard to see, but this bridge will lift up and rotate 90 degrees so ships can go through locks and dams right there. There's the Mississippi River, and this is flowing south. And there's some type of modern lift. Look at the size of these steel girders and supports. Just fantastic. Okay, here's a high water mark, that horizontal white line on that sign. And this was where the high water hit on April 28, 1965. Here's another high water mark, July 8, 1993, which is a little bit higher